okay? Separate office, not even in the same building. Vice President's the old executive office building. Naval Observatory is where the VP lives. There's not a lot of interaction. I don't believe that Barack Obama had any clue about all this grifting to the extent that it was. I'm sure he knew that Hunter Biden was trouble. I'm sure Barack Obama knew that. But he wasn't sitting there going, oh yeah, take the money. In a moment, something you might not know. Everything is expensive these days, you know that. The government is printing trillions of dollars and consumer prices higher than ever. If the government continues its printing and spending, the dollar could continue its free fall and lose its coveted role as the world reserve currency. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But there are a few things you can do right now. American Hartford Gold can show you how to protect your money, your retirement, your hard-earned savings against inflation by helping you diversify a portion of your portfolio into physical gold and silver. Start with a short phone call, and they can have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your 401k or IRA. Call 877-444-GOLD, 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Again, that's 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532.
Hi, it's Mark McCloskey, and I'm proud to represent my friend Mike Lindell and My Pillow here for the Christmas season. You know, my buddy Mike Lindell is always looking for ways to solve everyday problems. His My Towels solved a problem that we've all had with towels. You go into the stores and they feel lotiony and soft. When you get them home, they won't dry you. That's why he made My Towels. They actually work. They're soft and they absorb. And now My Pillow is excited to announce 2 brand new lines of My Towels. What makes them the best towels ever is they're now made with 100% long staple Sherpa cotton. This is a comb ring spun cotton that makes My Towels even softer and more absorbent than ever. And now you get a 6-piece set for an amazing introductory sales price as low as $29.98. So go to mypillow.com, use promo code ONFIRE, or call 800-645-1392. You get Mike's designer premium line for just $20 more. Either way, you save 50% on all My Towels. They actually work. What a concept. Just go to mypillow.com and use promo code ONFIRE. This offer won't last, so please order now.
Now the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. Christmas a few days away, which means it is impossible to leave the house without hearing Christmas music. Here are the most successful seasonal albums in American history. King of Rock, also the King of Christmas, Elvis Presley's 1957 hit, The Christmas Album, has sold more than 20 million copies. You remember Blue Christmas, right? You remember that? Next on the list, Kenneth Bruce Gorlick, better known as Kenny G. His record called Miracles also includes 2 tunes celebrating Hanukkah. Number 3, the Christmas song, or as most people call it, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire by Nat King Cole, fabulous singer. Today, the cancel culture is after this song because it references Eskimos. How horrible. Second biggest holiday album, A Charlie Brown Christmas. Film soundtrack is considered one of the greatest jazz records ever. Compilation was added to the Library of Congress in 2012 for its outstanding contribution to American culture. And the number 1 best-selling Christmas album ever, Bing Crosby's White Christmas. It is 50 million units and running. Are you kidding me? Written by composer Irving Berlin for the movie Holiday Inn. The song was first performed on Christmas Day 1941.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know.
And here's something else you might not know. Not all Christmas music is popular with the folks. Recent survey from Rolling Stone ranked the most despised holiday songs. Here they are. Baby, It's Cold Outside. All I Want for Christmas Is You. I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. Grandma got run over by a reindeer, and the least popular holiday tune, Santa Baby by Eartha Kitt. And the Madonna version is bad too. Happy holidays. Back after this. If you or your business is falling behind filing your tax returns, or if you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS, please listen carefully. The Biden administration just unveiled an $80 billion plan to modernize the IRS and reduce the unpaid tax debt. Are you tired of the IRS letters, levies, liens, or wage garnishments? You do not have to face the IRS alone. Hire Anthem Tax Services. They can help you settle your delinquent tax problems and all collections, and may even be able to reduce your back taxes significantly. If Anthem Tax Service cannot reduce your current monthly payment with the IRS or state, or they don't put you in a better position, you might qualify for the 100% money back guarantee. Please call Anthem Tax Services 800-810-9193, 800-810-9193, 800-810-9193. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Civil liberties organizations are filing suit against a new Texas law authorizing state police to arrest migrants who illegally cross the U.S. border and give local judges authority to order them to leave the country. Texas Governor Greg Abbott tells KRGV he's operating under rights created by the framers of the Constitution.
They inserted Article 1, Section 10 to the United States Constitution to empower states to take action to defend themselves. And that is exactly what Texas is doing.
Civil liberties groups say the law is unconstitutional. Meanwhile, talks continue in the Senate on Republican demands for a secure southern border policy as part of a deal to release billions of dollars to aid Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas stresses that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer was trying to jam a vote on a deal before lawmakers leave for their Christmas holiday recess.
Chuck Schumer is bad at his job. He waited too long to engage in these negotiations. Then he tried to bring senators back to jam a vote up against the Christmas holiday. That obviously is not working. So I imagine we're going to have a few more votes on nominees this week, and then we'll break for the Christmas holiday.
Senator Cotton spoke on the Salem Radio Network. California water agencies could soon turn wastewater into drinking water. The California Water Resources Control Board on Tuesday approved new rules for turning water from toilets and other uses into drinking water. State officials believe the rules will help the drought-prone state have a more reliable source of drinking water. California is the second state to approve statewide regulations for the direct use of recycled wastewater. Colorado approved similar regulations last year. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 251 points, the Nasdaq rose 98, the S&P advanced 27. More at townhall.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-355-4107 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-355-4107. That's 800-355-4107. What do you have to lose? Call 800-355-4107.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A chilly evening, coats needed, temperatures in the 30s, but temperature doesn't fall off that much. By tomorrow morning, it's 32. Definitely a cold start, but it's actually a little bit above normal in the beginning of a warming trend. Wednesday afternoon, we hit a high of 57. Southerly winds about 8 to 12 miles an hour, partly to mostly cloudy and dry. And then Thursday, still in the 50s, a high of 56 degrees, cloudy skies, slim chance for an evening shower, better chance for rain after midnight into Friday morning. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Going to be out at Johnny's Hideout a couple times this week for some Christmas festivities and parties and such. Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge, fantastic spot serving lunch and dinner 7 days a week right here in the St. Louis Metro. Yes, it's in High Ridge, but that's still the St. Louis Metro, folks, because Johnny's Hideout is literally, I've timed it many times because I've gone there many times from our station. It is 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois. Once you get there, your experience will be second to none. Huge complex and compound at Johnny's Hideout. They have a gigantic, 6,000 square foot indoor complex with 50 big screen TVs. Every game that you could possibly want to watch as we're heading into bowl season, NFL playoffs, and more will be on because Johnny makes sure that the TVs are tuned right. Big game room in the back. And outside, we're gonna have some warmish nights. They'll have all the fire pits going out on the giant 5,000 square foot outdoor patio overlooking the beautiful hills and dales of northern Jefferson County. A menu that is extensive and always changing and always delicious, featuring the quintessential Johnny Dow's chicken wings, the best barbecue in town, pork steaks you can cut with a fork, all kinds of delicacies as well. They're open 7 days a week. Check them out on the web, jhideout.com, jhideout.com. On Facebook, Johnny's Hideout STL. That's Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge. We'll see you there.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886. Or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
Listen anytime.
It happens
anywhere. Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news
with the News Talk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Good afternoon. Welcome into the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show here on a Tuesday, December the 19th, 2023. It is 4:07 in the PM, and that jovial laughter you hear is Chris Arps.
Yeah.
How you doing over there, Chris?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm hurting our producer's ears over there, banging into the mic, and he's giving me that amateur look.
I didn't hear it at all. Shows how deaf I am. Yeah. Got my headphones turned up to 11 over
gave
here.
me the side. I what an amateur I work with. God.
That's producer Joey V that is being mentioned in scorn. So how you doing, Joey?
Doing good. I love it when Chris treats the microphones like he's a cat with a cat toy. just batting it
Pawing
about.
at it, hitting it and everything.
What is that? Ooh, it's so cute.
You know who Joey reminds me of today with his Italian mafioso Adidas
He
running
does
suit
look
on?
like-
You know who he reminds me of?
Who's that?
Chris from Sopranos.
He does.
Right? Don't
Yeah.
you see it?
Yeah, or a white Run DMC impersonator.
For some reason, the Adidas jumpsuit, pants and top, always thinks like European, Italian, just heavy. Someone who's going to mess you up. He's got a gold chain or
Exactly.
something.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We had a name for that up in New York. What do we call him? It was a name we had for the Italian guys.
Capo?
No. It was like
Just cuss? What was that?
it wasn't.
Capo.
It wasn't.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't Goomba, but it was something. It was something like that.
Like
you
a
know?
leisure suit Larry over
So,
here. yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's producer Joey V. That's Chris Arps. I'm Tim Jones. As you can tell, we're all getting a little slap happy here heading into the holiday season, because let me tell you, we are happy at this time of year because despite how much Joe Biden and the lunatic left has destroyed the country, we still live in the greatest country on the planet. We're going to take it back next year. And we all celebrate the reason for the season. How could we not be happier knowing that God gave his only son?
Exactly. That is the reason for the season, besides the crass commercialism that we see. You know, to harken back for a minute to the Italian theme that we were on, Vic's wife, Porcelli's wife, made some pizzelles, and he brought those into the office. I've never had one before. Oh, my God, they are so good. But I did learn that eating pizzelles with a dark shirt on is not a wise idea because the powdered sugar is on it. So I've got it all over my mouth, all over my
Hunter
shirt.
Biden action over here.
I asked Joey, do I look like a minstrel with white powder around my mouth or something from the pizzelle? So thank you, Jessica Porcelli, for the pizzelles. They're very, very good.
Thank you very much. One of our owners.
Thank you, Vic, for bringing them in.
One of our owners, Jeff Allen, just walked out the door and gave us the most disapproving look I've ever seen. So we're off on the right track. That's how I know things are rocking and rolling.
Pizzelles, baby, pizzelles.
When Jeff looks at us like we're all completely and utterly nuts. We've got a great show for all y'all here today, as usual. Why would we have anything else? David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy, Show Me Institute, will join us at 4:25. What's going on in our region? Well, St. Charles County wants to team with St. Louis County in a dispute over the Mary Jane tax. Some call it ganja, some call it weed, some call it marijuana. And the city of St. Louis leaders, I feel like I should, whenever I'm talking about the leaders of St. Louis City, Chris, I feel like I need to put that in big air quotes. Do we really have any leaders of St. Louis City these days?
We don't have any leaders, and I think the state of St. Louis shows that we don't have any leaders, and we haven't had any leaders for a long time.
So such as we might call them, leaders, they're honing in on a plan to spend, Chris, that $250 million from the NFL Rams settlement. We've been talking, Chris, how long have we been talking about that? 2 years?
2 years.
Ever since we started the station?
At least.
Yeah. So apparently there's a plan, and I'm sure it's a bad plan. Maybe it's, that's where I go glass half empty, is when I'm talking about anything regarding the city of St. Louis. David Stokes will break all that down for us at 4:25.
And I think what I saw, Tim, the little part about little details that I saw, that part of the money is a redistribution type plan, that people are poor or don't have a lot of resources. I think they want to set up some type of fund to help them, which, that's benevolent. We should do that. But, let's talk about other uses for the money instead of handing it out to people. Let's try to add police to the force so we don't have the crime. Let's try to improve some of our infrastructure. Let's try to do something to make people want to come back to St. Louis instead of flee like News Talk STL did.
Mm-hmm. You're saying do something on permanent projects versus something that's going to be some fly-by-night, wasteful project that's going to then vanish in the next year.
Make people feel good,
and we get nothing
it's not
for
really
it.
going to have any long-term effects.
Could not agree with you more. So we'll talk with David Stokes about all of that and lots more at 4:25. Chris's Corner, of course, is at 4:45 today.
Yeah, Tim, you remember the story yesterday where we talked about the University of Washington volleyball player, incoming freshman who got a full 4-year scholarship, and we found out that it was really a biological male.
Yes.
And his mother, had been hiding that fact all this time. Well, we have an update on that story, and we'll update you at 442 on Chris's Corner.
Looking forward to that. The Speaker Stump speech Joey produces the show. Chad Hansen sponsors the segment. Speaker Stump speech sponsored by Chad Hansen, Hansen Street Service, 5:07 p.m. I have a list. Chris, this time of year we do a lot of lists, right?
Yeah.
So our good friends at Committee to Unleash Prosperity, Steve Moore, Dr. Art Laffer, Phil Kerpen, we've interviewed all of them here on our station many times. They put together the most underrated and the most overrated politicians and public figures of all time.
Oh, wow.
And
of all time. Is there this century or of all time, all time?
I'll have to go back and look at the list. But I'll tell you this. They tried to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
All of the underrateds are not Republicans, and all of the overrateds are not Democrats. There's a couple on each list. So I've got a list, and I'm just gonna run through it. I'm gonna get your thoughts on that.
I'd love to. That's gonna be fun.
And we'd love to have the audience's thoughts on that as well. So you want to listen in closely in the 5:07 p.m. segment. At 5:25, Chris, we got Junior coming in studio.
Junior.
Everett Jones will be joining us.
Is it too cold to ride the Harley?
Well, Everett's kind of a tough bird, so maybe not, but we'll have to ask him. Everett Jones, my brother from another mother of Jones, Air and Water. Everett Jones and Jones, Air and Water have been with us, man, not since the very beginning, but pretty much most of our ride on this fantastical ride of a radio station. So we couldn't thank him enough for that. We're going to find out what's going on in the air and water world as we head into the winter months. There's a lot of stuff you need to do to your home. Last time Everett was in, he told us about the fact you need to check your radon.
Yeah.
All of us need to check that in the Midwest. Chris, you said
We've had that. We had, in order to move in the University City, Tim, we had to have that checked out. The city required it.
I believe radon is odorless and colorless. So that's why it's very dangerous because you don't know when it's infecting your house. So we'll talk probably about that. We'll talk about the need to drink lots of good, clean water. We've got Everett Jones's we have Jones Air and Water ice here at the studio and water. We got this little spigot that saves us a ton on plastic bottles, and then we have the ice maker that makes the clean, clear ice as well. So anyway, we'll talk about all of that and more at what time? 5:25, and then we'll wrap things up and prepare you for Larry Connors USA. Larry, of course, follows Chris and I every day at 6:05 p.m. You can watch him on Rumble, and you can listen to him here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Chris, guess what? Guess what America's getting as a Christmas present?
A tax relief?
Time for the holidays.
A tax cut?
We're not that lucky.
Oh, okay.
This is more of a this is a as our good friend Bob Onder would say, this gift is going to cause lots of butt clenching. You're not going to believe what's coming out finally. Over 170 individuals linked to Jeffrey Epstein will be named in unsealed court documents. Whoa, baby.
That is surprising. I know there has been a call, Tim, for the last 2 weeks for the flight records for Jeffrey Epstein to be released. I am a big adherent of Ted Cruz's podcast. He talked about this. He talked about I forgot who. Oh, it was the senator, the female senator from Tennessee. She is the one that has called for that. And,
Marsha Blackburn.
Marsha Blackburn and Dick Durbin pretended in the hearing that he had never talked to her about that before. And then Ted Cruz's podcast showed a interview that he did talking about that particular issue. So, boy, if those flight records and what we suspect who is on those flight records come out, wow.
So the Daily Caller reporting today, over 170 individuals linked to deceased pedophile Jeffrey Epstein are likely to be named in unsealed court documents at the start of 2024. Oh, we got to wait till the new year. A judge ordered this on Monday. Senior U.S. District Judge Loretta Preska for the Southern District of New York ruled yesterday, to have a trove of documents related to dozens of unnamed alleged Epstein associates unsealed in 14 days. The anonymous individuals range from John Doe 3 to John Doe 187 and appear to be friends, recruiters, and victims of the disgraced financier.
I would be very, very surprised, though, if any big names come out. The powerful in this country, the elite that are on that list probably have gotten their names redacted or removed. I'd be very surprised. You know the people they've talked about that have been on those planes: Bill Gates, the president, former president Bill Clinton, and others. Dershowitz, allegedly. Alan Dershowitz.
I think Chuck Schumer maybe have been alleged to have been on that plane.
Chucky, weird, like the Chucky.
So let's see. Bill Gates, Reid Hoffman, who was the these are people not on the list that we know of, but are connected to Epstein. Bill Gates, Reid Hoffman, who was the founder of LinkedIn, former Barack Obama Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, private equity billionaire Leon Black, leftist intellectual Noam Chomsky, and the famed director Woody Allen. The Wall Street Journal was...
Woody Allen doesn't surprise
Wall
me.
Street Journal reporting that all of those people, they don't know if they're on the list that's going to be released, but they know that they're had a connection to Epstein. So, Chris, I bet a lot of people are going to be really nervous heading into the holidays.
And we all remember the sordid deal with Woody Allen where he ended up dating and marrying the girl that he adopted, he and Mia Farrow at one time. So they've been together a long time now, but that was truly weird.
So there you go. That's an interesting little tidbit as we head into the holiday season. And Joe Biden didn't get much of a Christmas gift, Chris, from the American people. Multiple polls came out over the last few days that show that Biden, believe it or not, continues to slip in the approval ratings. He is down at 34%, according to a new Monmouth poll that came out yesterday.
Yeah, and there's some other polls, too. A Wall Street Journal poll also came out showing him at all-time low ratings. Tim, with this indictment of Hunter Biden last week, the second indictment, I don't know how they're going to hide the bank records from coming out in his trial, which is scheduled for March. And we all know that those bank records are going to tie directly back to the big guy. Joe Biden is on the thinnest political ice I have ever seen in politics since I've been involved in politics, except for Nixon when I was 6 or 7, 8 years old.
And Biden,
but this is like,
and Biden just looks beat down, doesn't he? He's looking every bit of his 82 years old.
Here's a crazy thing. Now, the media, of course, is turning just a little bit, kind of exposing Joe Biden, talking about his brother James yesterday. But we all know, Tim, they are still in the tank. And here is a in the tank quote. This is from Axios, which is one of the political kind of publications. This is unbelievable. They wrote yesterday, Joe Biden is having some trouble accepting his age, and it's frustrating staff, Axios reports. The president has a habit of tiring himself out with an overly demanding schedule, which can make him look weary in public. He's his own worst enemy when it comes to his schedule, a former Biden aide said. We talk about this man's schedule every day. He does 2 events a day. The president's schedule is minutely every hour, whatever is spelled out. He's not doing any strenuous events behind the scene and work that's wearing himself out. That's just an outright lie, and Axios printed it.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, you're right. On one hand, you're right. A big chunk of the liberal-leaning media, the leftist-leaning media, they're questioning him and whether he can continue. And then there's other ones that are like, oh, he's still here, so we got to prop him up a little bit and say it's not that bad.
Yeah. The reason why Joe Biden looks weary, looks tired, and is shuffling when he walks is because he works so hard behind the scenes.
Right.
That's what they're trying to sell us.
Up is down and right is left. Chris and Joey, listener Linda, loves the latest encapsulation of Tim and Chris in a transportation mobile. And today, Chris, we are in the
Mach 5.
Yes,
when I was
sir.
growing up in the early 70s, Speed Racer was my all-time favorite cartoon. Used to come home after school and watch it on Channel 30 when Channel 30 was the VHF station. Good memories there.
You're even wearing You're even wearing a helmet. Joey didn't put a helmet on me. Joey doesn't care if I get a brain injury, apparently.
No. And Chris has driving gloves, too.
Oh, he does.
And a scarf.
You should have had, like, Chim Chim coming out of the trunk.
It's never
The
good
monkey.
enough for you guys.
Never is. We're very demanding.
Or
It is
race-
a cool shot. Yeah, it's a really cool shot.
Or Racer X, who everyone knows is Speed Racer's long-lost brother who ran away from home because he couldn't, because he pissed Pops off.
Mm-hmm.
So he ran away from home.
He is behind you. Of course, just to recap, every day I create a picture for the thumbnail of the
Yes.
show, and I put you in a different famous car. And today, Speed Racer and Racer X is right behind you. He's crashing. Your driving was
Ah,
so good
go
in this
Speed
picture.
Racer, go!
Racer X
In the
just spun
Mach
out.
5. Hey, we got lots to run down with David Stokes. So let's get to our first break of the afternoon. Go nowhere. There is lots more incredible material ahead, including everything you need to know about where the $250 million share of the NFL Rams settlement is going, a dispute over the marijuana tax in our region. Lots more with David Stokes of the Show Me Institute next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 1019, 94.1 News Talk STL.
And all that dwell within your gates will wish you 10 times more. These good misses are
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, driving the leftist crazy all afternoon.
This gift is going to cause lots of butt clenching. You're not going to believe what's coming out, finally.
Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A chilly evening, coats needed, temperatures in the 30s, but temperature doesn't fall off that much. By tomorrow morning, it's 32. Definitely a cold start, but it's actually a little bit above normal in the beginning of a warming trend. Wednesday afternoon, we hit a high of 57. Southerly winds about 8 to 12 miles an hour, partly to mostly cloudy and dry. And then Thursday, still in the 50s, a high of 56 degrees, cloudy skies, slim chance for an evening shower, better chance for rain after midnight into Friday morning. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
You want to give a unique gift this holiday? I suggest Stolac Whiskey, produced in Missouri. Stolac Whiskey, born of natural limestone filtered water from the Ozark Highlands, aged in Missouri oak. Stolac, so smooth. Trust me, you're going to enjoy it. So next time, ask for Stolac. Visit the website, stolac.com. Stolac, Stowloch, from Stone Ledge Distillery.
Make us part of your holiday this year with the News Talk STL Family Christmas. We'll share personal stories and play our favorite Christmas songs starting Christmas Eve at 6 and Christmas morning at 6. Brought to you by Great Harvest Bread Company in Maplewood and Super Smokers Barbecue.
So I wish no natural disasters on any of you this time of year, because unfortunately, I've been through plenty of them, between floods and hailstorms and all kinds of excitement over the last few years. We've had it just about all, either at the Jones home or at the little office I have in downtown Eureka. But if Mother Nature comes a-calling and then you need to, and things start a-falling off of your homestead, I want you to give Eureka Contracting and Roofing a call. You know why? For many reasons. Number one, they're local. Number two, they've got decades of experience in both the claims adjuster and the construction industries. They have folks on staff who were claims adjusters for insurance companies, so they know they speak these people's language, and they know how to work with them, not at odds with them. Because the whole goal is not to fight with your insurance company and drag things out. The most important thing is to get a settlement for you, do it quickly and efficiently. They handle pretty much all of the paperwork. And for folks like you who are busy, that is priceless in and of itself. When storms hit, don't sign up with the first Yahoo salesperson that knocks on your door on a Saturday morning and wants to put a sign in your yard. Call Eureka Contracting and Roofing first for a no-pressure inspection. 636-938-ROOF, 636-938-ROOF, eurekacontracting.com. Roofs typically replaced in one day. They use incredibly high-quality materials, 99% plus of which are made here right in the USA. Their craftsmanship is second to none. And because they're local, because they're invested in the community, they go nowhere. They're not fly-by-night. They go nowhere after the project's done. They're available to you after the project's done. Rick Hinkson and the gang have come up. You know, maybe sometimes there's like a little hanging chat or something they got to come up and fix. They do it, no questions asked. Love working with them, have for years. Urge you to call them as well. You commercial and industrial building owners, they've got something called the Carlisle Silicon Coating System. I'll be talking about more of that as we begin the new year. But when you got to recoat those roofs and stuff, you know, around springtime or so, that's what you want to use as well. Eureka Contracting, all of those needs, residential, commercial, industrial, 636-938-ROOF, 636-938-ROOF, eurekacontracting.com, eurekacontracting.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Merry Christmas, I don't want to fight tonight with.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
Merry Christmas, I don't want to fight tonight. Merry Christmas, I don't want to fight tonight. Merry Christmas, I don't want to fight tonight with you.
Rams settlement money, all $250 million, could be left in the bank, according to the Post-Dispatch. Aldermen are looking into setting up a municipal endowment to invest some or all of the cash that would generate recurring returns that could then be spent on various city needs. Well, Mayor Tashara Jones and Board of Aldermen President Megan Green are in agreement about finding a plan that could produce evergreen cash for roads, bridges.
429 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And Tim, during the break, we talked about this. We said, we've been talking about this forever, it seems like. When are we finally going to get to some type of solution on what to do with this windfall that St. Louis received from the NFL? Let's see what our next guest, the thoughts he has on it.
David Stokes over at the Show Me Institute.
In high school, you talk about spike. I had a very short spike. It was spiked.
I knew there's some spike somewhere in that stuff.
It wasn't very punky. It was more Leave It to Beaver-ish, maybe.
And joining us every Tuesday, David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy at the Show Me Institute, showmeinstitute.org. David, before we get started, we're roughly all about the same age here, except for Joy. Were you a speed racer fan?
Yeah, yes and no. I'd never really called myself a big fan, but certainly back in the late 70s and early 80s, we'd come home from school and get a little snack before play and watch some Speed Racer cartoons. So, yeah, I watched plenty of Speed Racer in my young childhood.
All right, now the tough questions there. You heard coming in there, Dave, the clip about the Rams money, $256 million, I think it is. There seems to be another plan now. What's the detail, sir?
The detail now is really, I guess, no plan, and it's not the worst idea, particularly in this time right now of high interest rates. If the city wanted to just sort of be cautious and safe with it and invest it, because right now it can be safely invested and get a pretty darn high return on the interest rates alone, easily netting the city of St. Louis, I would imagine, $20 million a year plus in just interest payments. So yeah, it's not the worst idea. I don't think it's a long-term permanent idea, because what the plan is, and I might have skipped the basics there, just considering setting up a municipal sort of endowment fund where they keep it all and just then spend the interest on it each year. So let's say it was $20 million a year. That $20 million would go towards presumably positive investments in the city of St. Louis. Also, a very good chance it would go towards ridiculous public investments in the city of St. Louis. But they sort of keep the approximately $250 million basis in there permanently. Again, not the worst idea, and certainly in the short term, not the worst idea as they try to come up with hopefully a good long-term plan. If it was up to me, I'd invest it two ways primarily. One, the most immediate need is to try to use it to recruit, train, and pay more police officers for the city of St. Louis. That's the most pressing need in the city of St. Louis right now, and I can't imagine anybody would dispute that. Another, I think, excellent investment of that money would be to improve and upgrade the very old, I don't even want to say it's aging, it's just old, water system in the city of St. Louis. Really invest, bring those pipes up to speed, dramatically improve that, and then here's the trick. And then I would sell it. I would invest that money to increase the worth of the water utility, and then turn around and sell that water utility for hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And then that would be some money you could really put in a long-term investment.
Yeah, David, Chris had suggested that the police item when we talked earlier before your segment, and if they were going to do those things, I mean this would be a possible good plan if the city were proven good stewards of taxpayer dollars. All of us might go, oh great, they're going to use that for all the things you should be doing in a city. As one of my old friends used to say, hogs, dogs, and fences. Fixing potholes, making sure that we have police on the street, that we have good community relations. But I think all of us are worried that they're just going to use this as a never-ending slush fund. That's the concern, isn't it?
Well, right. And I guess the way to look at it, if they're only then wasting the interest each year, that's better than wasting the entire thing. Like certainly there's a chance they'd take it and they'd take the $20 million in interest and use it to expand some terrible program like their new guaranteed income program, which will then just, create a larger, more generous welfare state in the city of St. Louis, which will make things worse, not better, certainly in the long run. That's precisely the type of program I could see them doing with it. But again, if you're at least only wasting the interest each year, you've sort of mitigated the damage slightly. So that's the way to look at it. I've got no faith that even if they're just spending the interest on it, they would do that well. But I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love to then say we're going to do this endowment. We're going to use it to fund improve public safety in the city of St. Louis each year, because that's the type of thing that will bring businesses and people back to the city and increase the tax base organically at that point when people are feeling safe, when businesses are feeling safe, so they move into or stay in the city. That would be a wonderful thing to do with it. But I'm serious about investing in the city's water division. You talk about the most valuable asset the city owns, that in the airport, and I think it would be great to bring the water division, dramatically improve it, and then use that money to market it. Talk about a way to investment leads to more money for the city. There's absolutely hundreds of millions of dollars is what that water utility is likely worth. But right now, because nobody really knows just how bad the pipes are deep underground, that's some money I think would be well spent.
Speaking with David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy at the Show Me Institute. David, I've known you close to 25 years now, but I don't know where you stand on the issue of online taxes. St. Louis County is proposing taxing online sales. What's your thoughts on that?
I'd support the use tax, generally speaking. Last year, we talked about it on the show last year a few times. The difference is I don't support use taxes just to raise more money for the government. I support use taxes. It's a good way to expand the tax base and equalize the playing field between physical businesses and online retailers. I think this is the time to do it. But I would love to see this happen in a way, and this was the point of the op-eds that we published around the state last year, in a way to reduce other more harmful taxes and do it in sort of a revenue-neutral way, and maybe the city or county gains a little bit, that's fine. What I don't like about this new county proposal to put it before the voters again is that the voters just said no, and the voters weren't wrong when they said it. If they don't want this tax, then they don't want this tax, and it's not up for St. Louis County government and Councilwoman Clancy, who I believe is pushing this, to tell the voters they're wrong and they need to keep re-voting on it until they're right. I believe State Rep Ben Keithley had a proposal last year to limit the frequency at which, once taxes are voted down, that they can be reintroduced, and I think that's absolutely needed. Chesterfield, I believe, has asked for a use tax 3 times in the past decade, including twice in the past 2 years. Voters keep saying no, and it's completely inappropriate for cities or counties to just ask again until they get the answer they want. There should absolutely be a minimum 3 or 4 year wait between tax proposals once they're defeated. That said, over and above that, I don't think it's a bad tax. I think St. Louis County should ask again in 5 years, and we'll see what voters say then. But doing it again in April of 2024, I think, is a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm. Speaking to David Stokes of the Show Me Institute, Director of Municipal Policy there, showmeinstitute.org. David, there's another big story out, a lot of controversy regarding marijuana. Marijuana always is surrounded by controversy, it seems. St. Charles County officials joining with St. Louis County to defend a 3% countywide tax on recreational marijuana sales. The dispensary industry says that this is illegal and unlawful according to the constitutional amendment that was passed, but the counties are saying no, that's exactly what the amendment provided for. And David, weren't we always told that, well, if you just pass marijuana into practice, then you can live off the tax revenue. It'll be such a big boon for everyone. What's going on here, David, and where is this headed? Besides to court.
Well, it's in court, right? It's in court, and I find it fascinating, and it really gets into the weeds of local tax policy. So let's be clear: for almost all sales tax, for every sales tax, frankly, the county sales taxes are passed county-wide. There's no sales taxes that are just imposed within unincorporated areas of St. Louis County. So St. Charles County and St. Louis County are completely right when they say, look, that's how it works. When we pass a county tax, it's within the entire county. And then if municipalities pass taxes on top of it, that's stacked. I mean, it's layered. It's not one or the other. However, when the people who wrote the constitutional amendment that voters passed, they put in there, at least they thought they did, we'll see if it worked, a law saying that when counties pass these taxes, it's only in the unincorporated areas, not incorporated municipalities. So it'd be a side-by-side tax, not stacked. Again, that's not how it's done in Missouri, but that's why we amend the Constitution, I guess. What it really is a perfect example of why doing legislative minutia via constitutional amendment is a terrible idea. It was one thing to put the simple question of should marijuana be legal in Missouri before voters. That's one thing. But to get into dozens of pages of legislative minutia and expect voters to pay any attention to that at all is just terrible public policy. And it's a classic example of why we dramatically need reform for initiative petitions in the state of Missouri. This is the type of thing that never should have been subject to voter approval. This is exactly the type of thing done by elected legislators. That said, it's going to be a fascinating thing in the courts, and it really has major implications. I've never gone to a marijuana store, so I do not know if people go there and buy $50 at a time or if you go there and buy $500 at a time. Like, I have no idea. If people are making large purchases when they go, then that 3% difference means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If you're buying $500 worth of pot, a 3% tax difference is a lot, and it could really be the type of thing that drive people to dispensaries in the city of St. Louis, which will, because of its own municipal quirk, will always just be 3%, or perhaps dispensaries in unincorporated areas which don't have the additional municipal 3%. I mean, it really could come into play with sort of location decisions on dispensaries, court findings. So I'm fascinated by it. I certainly agree that county taxes should be county-wide and not only in unincorporated areas. I think that would be ridiculous. But again, the biggest example and the biggest lesson here is why this is precisely, and I'm not talking about the question of marijuana legality. I'm talking about all the dozens of pages of minutia via referendum or initiative petition. That stuff needs to be done by legislators and elected officials.
David, before we let you go, we've talked with you and Patrick Ishmael about Show Me Institute's 2024 blueprint. What else should we be checking out on showmeinstitute.org?
Well, the blueprint is up there, and I hope people, if they have, please do. We're also having a series of blog posts going up this past week about getting into, closely related to the blueprint, getting into the details of some model policies that we think the elected officials can read and learn from and do. One thing that I'm really hoping to see a push next year in the session is banning city landlords to accept Section 8 housing and other types of housing vouchers. That's a big issue in Kansas City right now. We're doing a lot of work over in the Kansas City side on this issue at Show Me Institute, and I'd love to see that move forward. I think it's awful that some cities like Clayton and Maplewood and Webster Groves and the city of St. Louis, and I think I named all of them, and landlords to accept housing vouchers. It's a voluntary program. These municipalities have no business making a requirement, and I'd love to see something like that happen in the legislature.
We've been speaking with David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy at the Show Me Institute, showmeinstitute.org. David, thank you as always, and we look forward to speaking with you again next Tuesday.
Well, friends of mine, so Merry Christmas to you guys. I think I'll speak to you before the New Year, so I'll hold off on my New Year's wishes, but I hope you and your families have a great Christmas.
Same to you, my friend. Appreciate that.
Merry Christmas.
And as we said at the beginning of the show, Chris's Corner, we've got an update on the University of Washington volleyball player. The good guys do win, it looks like. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A chilly evening, coats needed, temperatures in the 30s, but temperature doesn't fall off that much. By tomorrow morning, it's 32. Definitely a cold start, but it's actually a little bit above normal in the beginning of a warming trend. Wednesday afternoon, we hit a high of 57. Southerly winds about 8 to 12 miles an hour, partly to mostly cloudy and dry. And then Thursday, still in the 50s, a high of 56 degrees, cloudy skies, slim chance for an evening shower, better chance for rain after midnight into Friday morning. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
And then the media.
101.9 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Well, looking at HansonsTree.com right before my very eyes, and you should as well. Simply go to HansonsTree.com. That's HansonsTree.com to book your next tree inspection or appointment and have the folks out to your home before the winter winds, the ice and snow bring down those overhanging branches onto your homestead. Come on now, you don't want to have to replace the gutters and the roofing and the siding and everything else because you got a tree hanging over the house. You want to take care of that right now, either at your home or your business. Hanson's Tree Service provides expert insured tree care. Chad Hansen recently took me to the tree industry trade show down at the America Center. Huge machines. Let me tell you, these are complicated big machines because you're doing complicated big work with some of your largest prized assets, your trees. You should not be out there, screwing around with all kinds of very dangerous equipment. Get Chad Hansen and the gang out there. They are certified arborists. They'll do it right the first time. Your trees will love it as well because they'll get that TLC tree care from Hanson's Tree. How about have them bring some of that organic mulch? Yeah, protect all of the stuff you got in the ground, the bulbs and the perennials and the annuals and stuff. They're going to come popping back up around springtime. It's not that far away. Just got to get through a couple winter months here. So whether it's commercial and residential tree care, whether it's plant health care, whether it's wonderful, I love organic mulch, have Hanson's Tree take care of you today. 636-379-1830, or better and easier yet, 24/7. You can look up everything they got and available and book appointments at hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. We have an exciting new training opportunity available for public school and Christian school teachers. The Herzog Foundation Institute has partnered with the Bill of Rights Institute to offer 4 training events in 4 Missouri cities this year. These day-long professional development opportunities are best suited for middle and high school civics, government, U.S. history, and social studies teachers. Middle and high school teachers have a unique opportunity to strengthen civic knowledge and values for the next generation. We want to help teachers seize this opportunity.
Visit herzogfoundation.com/events to learn more and register for a Bill of Rights Institute training event near you. herzogfoundation.com/events. HerzogFoundation.com/events.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
Defense Secretary Austin assures Israel, we still stand with you. But every time he says it, they're more concerned that Biden's moving away.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
Given the president's strong Catholic faith, what was his reaction to yesterday's announcement by the Vatican that priests can now bless same-sex unions?
So I'll say this, the president, along with many Catholics around the world, welcomed a declaration from the Vatican, done with the approval of Pope Francis, that allows for the blessing of same-sex couples, and certainly anything specific we would have to refer to the church, but obviously we welcome the step in the church ministry to the LGBTQ people.
4:49 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show, and sometimes it's amazing how the radio and TV kind of synergizes. Chris's Corner is going to be an update on the story yesterday about the transgender volleyball player, and on screen is an attorney and talking about a case that's going to be under appeal regarding transgender sports. What's it about, Tim?
Alex Nestor, Chris, from Parents Defending Education. She's an investigative fellow with them. I know, Alex. You may have seen me sitting with her at our table, our radio table. She was out at ALEC with us. Good. Alex helps run Parents Defending Freedom. Their goal, Chris, is to help reform, rebuild, rehabilitate public schools. Yeah. This is the issue you're going to talk about, the issue that's on Fox Business right now with Alex Nestor. She's talking about this, has to do with, and Chris, you and I talk a lot about educational choice.
Sure.
We don't want to destroy public education. We want to fix public education, and choice will help do that. So Alex's group works specifically with our public schools and tries to move them away from all this woke insanity.
Because what do we always say? Choice sponsors competition, which ultimately should make schools better. So if public schools aren't afraid of competition, then bring them in. Make it better. I mean, if the ultimate aim is to educate our children and give them the best education we can, then let's try new and different things, because it's obvious what's going on right now is not working. I just read a report today that said our schools are like the punctuality rate for people attending our schools is like at an all-time low before the pandemic. So kids aren't going to schools, kids aren't being educated. It's a sad situation. Joey, let's just jump right into Chris's Corner.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
Once again, the story on Chris's Corner yesterday was the weird story about the University of Washington volleyball player, transgender player, who received a full 4-year scholarship, thus taking a scholarship away from a biological male. The really weird part of this story is that no one outside of this athlete's family knew that he was a male. All throughout his life, his mother, his father, his family hid the fact that he was a biological male. I told you yesterday about how his mother has written books on transgenderism in children. She has written a film and produced a film. She said that she knew that her son was transgender when he was a little boy because he liked playing with girls' toys. And so because of that, she dressed him as a girl and transitioned him. Everyone was talking about what a travesty this was, Riley Gaines and other conservative activists, but of course the crowd from Now and the liberal feminist groups were silent. Well, it looks like, according to reports, the University of Washington has rescinded its tentative offer of a Division I women's volleyball scholarship to a California transgender athlete after being blindsided by revelation that the athlete was born a male. This is from Breitbart. Last week, it was reported that Tate Dragasset, a 16-year-old California high school junior, had verbally committed to UW volleyball program and was preparing to offer the teen one of only 12 female Division I athletic scholarships. But Breitbart Sports, boy, I tried saying that quickly 3 times, said that the teen's parents had spent years carefully trying to hide from the common knowledge that their transgender daughter was actually born a boy. Riley Gaines, as I said, she has been one who has spoken out on this dramatically. She said he and his family concealed his sex throughout the entire recruiting process. She added, this is the power of public opinion and accountability that has gotten this scholarship rescinded. You know, the whole fact that they were going to steal a scholarship from a deserving female is worse enough. But really what needs to be focused on is this mother. This is child abuse, what she did to this child. And there should be some type of crime or some type of penalty for what she has done to this child and what the fraud that she has perpetrated. You know, I told you yesterday that this transgender boy, female, has won all kind of athletic awards for Sportswoman of the Year, all conference, and it was all a fraud. It was all a fraud. And, as I said, I would like to see some type of action taken against this mother, because I think this is bordering on child abuse. And that is Chris's Corner.
You know, Chris, we spent generations, decades and decades, listening to the liberals and the left and the media in this country talk about how the patriarchy was holding women, young ladies, and girls back, right? We literally passed federal law, Title IX, to try to make sure that there was fairness across the land. And some people felt that Title IX went too far. Some people felt it was unnecessary. Others felt it was the cure for the situation. That's all water under the bridge. Many of us, have evolved our opinions on this, especially those of us who, once we grow up and have children, and especially if we have daughters, and you look at how hard young women, young ladies, and girls work and how they love sport just as much as young boys. And I don't know what it's like to have young boys. I had a brother who was 10 years younger than me, but I have 2 daughters, and they both are sports women. And I can't imagine how heartbroken my daughters or anybody's daughters would be when they work their entire career to do something, and then literally a guy, a biological male, we talked about the difference yesterday, Chris, between sex and gender. A biological male is allowed to come in and literally destroy their dreams but for nothing else.
And that's what the thing that has to be the most frustrating, that one, this is a biological male. He's stronger. He's faster than these girls, and that no one sees anything wrong with that because of political correctness and trying to do the right thing when it comes to their eyes, that it's okay to discriminate as long as it creates some type of equality in their eyes. And the left is just so bastardized equality that in their warped sense of right and wrong, that they think discriminating and taking away scholarships from these little girls, from these women, is okay because it doesn't hurt the feelings of a transgender boy who has probably had all of these feelings his whole life, and people have been discriminating against him. So we have to bend the rules for him. And who cares about these girls? Discriminate for equality. It's absolutely sick.
Where the hell is the equal rights movement, right?
Yeah.
Where are the feminists? Where is the women's liberation movement? Where are the people that have argued and demanded for decades that we have equal and level playing? How is it an equal and level playing field to allow biological males just to trounce into women's sports, shatter all their records, and destroy all their dreams? This is, as you said, complete and utter insanity.
And it's just amazing that those that are in charge don't see that. And they are crushing these women's dreams, all because of a fake equality. I tell you. Tim, 507, what are we going to talk about on a Speaker Stump Speech?
Underrated and overrated, Chris, when it comes to the political public policy world and the leaders that we've all grown to love, or maybe not so much. We're going to talk about the most overrated and underrated, according to our good friends at the Committee to Unleash Prosperity.
And then at 5:25, we got Junior in the studio. Everett Jones of Jones Air and Water. He's going to tell you what you need to be doing now that we're entering the cold winter months on how to make yourself healthy with air and water. You are listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps.
Hi, Sean Long with STL Fenceworks. Our company realized another extraordinary year of great business. I thank God for engineering our success and for this great nation and all the blessings it offers those who persevere and work hard. Second, I want to personally thank the great customers who put their faith in our company to make their home and backyard dreams a vision fulfilled. STL Fenceworks doesn't exist without you, and I'm humbled and grateful for your patronage. I also want to thank all my great employees. You're the backbone of STL Fenceworks. You make my vision a reality. I'm truly honored to work amongst such fine people. Finally, as the year ends, I want to remind everyone to take time to enjoy the season. Embrace your family and friends, count the blessings in your life. Reflect on the important things, and don't forget the true meaning of Christmas, when a baby was born, Jesus, our Savior. On behalf of everyone at STL Fenceworks, have a very Merry Christmas and a blessed and prosperous New Year.
Hey guys, Ken Kruger. I've gotten to know these guys really well over the last few years. Yes, St. Louis Bath and Renovation. They're the most trusted name in bathroom remodelers in the St. Louis area. In fact, if you need bathroom repairs, complete bathroom remodeling, or handyman services, call St. Louis Bath and Renovation at 314-477-6476 or email Rob at stlbr.com. That's St. Louis Bath and Renovation.
I'm Missouri Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe. As a small businessman and entrepreneur, I always encourage Missourians to shop local to support their friends and neighbors. This holiday season, visit buymissouri.net to find Missouri-made products, manufacturers, and retailers near you. When you buy Missouri, you help create jobs and keep our hard-earned dollars in the local economy. I encourage you to shop local every day, but especially during this holiday season. Visit buymissouri.net and follow @BuyMissouri on social media for more information.
Brought to you by the Missouri Lieutenant Governor's Office.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9 94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The prospects for passing legislation to speed military aid to Ukraine this year are fading as Republicans balk at striking a quick deal on southern border immigration policy changes they've demanded in exchange for allowing the bill to move forward. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says reaching a deal with Democrats on border and immigration policy changes would be significant.
I think we haven't passed a significant immigration bill since Reagan's second term. And so this is not easy, but we're working hard to get an outcome because the country needs it, and the country needs it soon.
Meanwhile, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed legislation mandating police to arrest migrants who illegally cross the U.S. border and give local judges authority to order them to leave the country. Abbott tells KRGV President Biden is to blame for illegal border crossings.
Biden's deliberate inaction has left Texas to fend for itself. The authors of the United States Constitution foresaw a situation when the federal government would be inattentive to states that faced challenges at their borders.
He faces stiff challenges from civil liberties groups. They claim the new powers are unconstitutional. Israel's defense minister says its troops are working on clearing out Hamas terrorists from Gaza's north, but that fighting in Gaza's south will persist for months. Israeli forces raided two of the last functioning hospitals in Gaza's north in recent days, and warplanes bombarded central and southern Gaza Tuesday, with strikes that killed at least 45 Palestinians, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. The air and ground war was launched in response to Hamas's October 7th attack into Israel. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 251 points. The Nasdaq rose 98. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
From director George Clooney.
Well, what's that about making some money?
Yeah, the rowing team. You get a part-time job and a cheap place to live.
This Christmas.
Come on, boys! That bunch of kids rode like no one else that's ever come through here.
Based on the inspiring true story.
We have a boat strong enough to qualify for an Olympic spot. Well, lay it down, Coach.
Of the underdogs who made history.
The Americans have the 1996 Olympics.
Row for your country. Row for each other.
The Boys in the Boat. Only in theaters Christmas Day. Rated PG-13. Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A chilly evening, coats needed, temperatures in the 30s, but temperature doesn't fall off that much. By tomorrow morning, it's 32. Definitely a cold start, but it's actually a little bit above normal in the beginning of a warming trend. Wednesday afternoon, we hit a high of 57. Southerly winds about 8 to 12 miles an hour, partly to mostly cloudy and dry. And then Thursday, still in the 50s, a high of 56 degrees, cloudy skies, slim chance for an evening shower, better chance for rain after midnight into Friday morning. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Investment advisory services offered through OWLFI LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Are you or someone you know providing or managing care for a loved one today? Did you know there could be more cost-efficient solutions for funding long-term care, even those currently living in a skilled care facility today? Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns. Whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today, solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Request your free copy of Chris's book by visiting SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
As we talk about Ukraine and other issues, we have to secure America's border first.
News, analysis, opinion.
We're not making a political decision. It's not. It's a legal decision.
1019 and 94.1.
Worried we're going to be stuck with Biden.
News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
I've been seeing lately that economists are increasingly worried that the idea of a Phillips curve that links unemployment and inflation is no longer describing what is happening in today's economy. Have you been considering on that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, very much so. We spend a great deal of time on that. The connection between slack in the economy or the level of unemployment and inflation was very strong if you go back 50 years, and it's gotten weaker and weaker and weaker to the point where it's a faint heartbeat that you can hear now. It's still there. You can see it at state-level data and things like that. But I think we really have learned, though, that the economy can sustain much lower unemployment than we thought without troubling levels of inflation. Mm-hmm. And I think I would look at today's level of unemployment as well within the range of potential estimates, of plausible estimates of what the natural rate of unemployment is.
And welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show here at 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL, Tuesday, December 19th, 2023, 5:07 in the p.m. Central Standard Time. Chris, that was AOC back in 2019 talking about something I'd never heard of up to 3 days ago when I talked about the Phillips curve, and I stumbled across something where AOC was grilling Jerome Powell correctly about the Phillips curve. It's kind of interesting.
Here's a startling factoid that many people don't know. Ocasio-Cortez graduated cum laude from the Boston University in 2011 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in both international relations and economics. Mm-hmm. Does that shock you?
You know, in that clip we just played,
she sounded like she knew what she was talking about.
Brilliant, and it makes me wonder, is the rest of it all just a stupid act?
You think she just plays stupid?
Is that all just a stupid act?
She does it very well.
She does it very well. She should win an Emmy and an Oscar for it. But there, she was actually correctly, I guess a broken clock can be right twice a day. Yeah. She was challenging Jerome Powell back in 2019 during the Trump years about the whole idea that, we need to hike interest rates to basically, we need to hike interest rates and slow the economy down so we have unemployment. It's just this upside down Keynesian model that Powell seems to love, that even AOC was having questions about back at that time.
Yeah, and we've talked about it many times here on the show, Keynesian economics, the theory that you pump money into the economy, money is limitless, that creates limitless economic growth. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And we've seen the Reaganomics, trickle-down economics. Liberals hate that term, but what always cracks me up, they hate the term trickle-down economics where, if rich get tax cuts, theoretically it filters down to the rest of us, and that helps everyone. But they support tax breaks for the middle class because they'll make the same exact argument that those people go and buy tires and go and buy groceries and do everyday things, which keeps people employed. And I'm like, it's the same exact concept. Why doesn't it work for wealthy money trickling down, creating jobs, and middle-class people spending money, creating jobs, and keeping jobs intact?
Well, they got to institute their economic model on steroids, right? They were put in charge, the Democrats, the left, the progressive left of the left were put in charge for a full 2 years, and they had the unfettered ability to do whatever they want. And what did they do? They got to put their economic plan into practice. They got to do their Keynesian model. They got to spend nearly $9 trillion of government money because they said that you can never spend enough government money. It's okay. It's fine. There'll never be a reaction to it. We can put as much as we want. We can print as many dollar bills as we want. Look what happened. Historically high inflation that you and I haven't experienced since we were little kids and our parents had to struggle through the 1970s. We saw supply chain crises. We saw interest rates skyrocket. We saw the middle class getting hollowed out, especially, as you pointed out yesterday, on energy and food prices. So we got to see in a very short, compressed period of time what happens when you supercharge these really bad Keynesian economic models. They fail.
Yeah, and we've seen that before. Many economists say that the economic crisis that we saw during the 80s or early 80s after Jimmy Carter was predicated on the fact that LBJ during the 60s was trying to spend billions of dollars on a war in Vietnam while also spending billions of dollars on social programs at the same time. And that spending eventually caused what happened in the late 70s and caused inflation and the problems that we have. And then Joe Biden and the Democrats, 25 years later, 40 years later, go and do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm. And the only reason things are slightly turning around now is because there hasn't been any government spending of that scale over the last 18 months. All of this money is finally getting squeezed out of the system. All right, we've got the Speaker Stump Speech coming up in just a second. We've got Everett Jones Jr. coming up to talk about Jones Air and Water and everything you need to be doing this time of year. And Chris, we have a caller from yesterday.
Round two.
We had to quickly wrap things up because, look, folks, when we say we're running out of time, we're not saying it because we don't want to talk to you. It's because the big clock is going to come down on us. But we got time now before the Speaker Stump Speech to talk to our caller from yesterday. Michael has called us back. Michael, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. You're on the air.
And we appreciate you calling. We really do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry I called a little late.
That's all right.
So I believe we were talking about EV stations, and I was basically just saying that I think it makes sense for government to have some kind of incentives to build these stations, because I do believe that this is going to be the future, you know.
Well, let's harken back to the argument that I made yesterday. You know, when we discovered oil in Pennsylvania and and Henry Ford started making cars and other manufacturers, why didn't the government get involved and say, "Hey, the horse and buggy is old school now. Cars are the future. In order to get this burgeoning industry going, we need to build gas stations, government gas stations."
Well, the United States at that time was putting all their money into paving roads and bridges that would actually allow the car manufacturing industry to actually start. So the government was doing things like building roads and bridges so people could sell their gas. And you should also know right now that the United States government gives billions, I think it's like $6 billion in subsidies to oil corporations. So if we're giving these subsidies to big oil, why is it so different to do it for EV companies?
Michael, what do you do with the argument that it's really the fossil fuel industry that powers the electric vehicle industry? I did a stump speech a few years ago where I gave the list of materials that go into just one EV battery, and it's thousands of pounds of iron ore stripped out of mines in faraway nations, courtesy of child slave labor. I mean, these things don't seem to yet be at the point where they have the proper economy of scale. What do you do with the argument about that?
Yeah, well, Joe Biden did pass the Chips and Science Act, so we're actually starting to produce those things in the United States now, so we don't have to depend on China. And like you just said, the technology is going to keep on getting better and better. My problem is, like, I have a Republican friend, and he just straight up says, fossil fuel and gas-run cars are better for the environment than an electrical car. I mean, there's so much misinformation out there, and it's concerning to me because obviously burning fossil fuels is not good for the ozone layer. And, you know, whether you believe in climate change or not, I think we can all agree that it's a good thing to, you know, take care of the environment, have clean water, clean air.
Mike, I want to talk about the tax breaks issue here. Do you know that currently the United States is the biggest exporter of oil in the world right now, and that when it takes a lot of money to drill a well, hoping that well comes in. Most of the times those wells don't. And those tax breaks, those incentives are for these oil companies to explore for oil. And I would say because the United States right now is the number one exporter of oil in the world, that those tax breaks are working because they are giving us cheaper oil than we would have if we weren't flooding the market with that extra oil.
Yeah, but the companies are making billions in record profits right now.
But you know what? But have you ever? But
where they need these funds, they're making record.
But Michael, seriously, have you ever looked over a period of the profits that these oil companies make? There may be a period of 5 or 6 years where they are making absolute record profits. They are really bringing it in. And then the next 5 or 6 years later, they're losing money. These companies aren't making record profits every single quarter. And as I said before, it takes a lot of money to drill and explore for oil. And a lot of that money gets redirected back into research and development and exploring for oil.
I was just kind of equating that we do it for the fossil fuel industry. Let's also do it for
but the fossil fuel industry, but the fossil fuel industry is adding to our economy. The electric vehicle industry is not.
Okay, so I think we were talking about they're not selling and things like that. In 2021, the sale of EV cars doubled. It doubled in 2021.
What does that mean? What does that mean, though? Doubled from what? I love when you guys say stuff like doubled from 1 to 2. That's doubling.
And would those sales have doubled if there wasn't a $7,500 subsidy from the government for people to buy those vehicles?
And last year sales went down because the subsidy expired.
They did go down, and they have slowed down. And I think it was Ford that kind of put some plans to build EV stations on hold because they're really not selling at the pace that they expected them to. That's true. That's 100% true.
Michael, great conversation, but we got to run. I
appreciate you calling in.
love that I
Seriously.
heard you say we need to decouple from China. I'm pretty sure I heard that. Michael, thanks for calling in very much. We always appreciate the conversation. Chris,
Thanks, Michael.
all viewpoints are welcome here.
Oh, I love that Michael calls in and we can debate the issues, and I think we debated them civilly.
He seems like a fine gentleman, and
a little misguided on his.
We believe he's engaged in public service too,
Yes.
but we didn't want to say that without his permission. So we appreciate you, Michael, listening. We had to run though because I have 2 minutes left to do my speaker stump speech. So let's knock that out before we get Everett Jones in here next.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
Chris, at the Christmas party for the Committee to Unleash Prosperity, which I often talk about and cite on our program, they put a question to, they had a fun little game that they put to their team and board members this year. Who are the most overrated and underrated politicians of all time? So they've got a list of, let me tell you how many. So the most overrated, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 9 selections on the most overrated politicians of all time. Would you like to venture a guess at all?
I think one of them has to be, and I know with our older crowd are going to disagree with me, but he wasn't in there that very long and didn't really have a lot of accomplishments, and some of his life has come out to be kind of sordid. I think you'd have to put JFK on that list as overrated.
He's not on it. Not on the list at all. Neither list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, let me throw some out here. Let me throw some out here. Most overrated. Guess who number 1 was? Barack Obama.
Oh, most definitely.
Overrated.
Yeah. You talking about a media elected president? That was him.
Number 2, FDR. FDR, overrated. Because I think it's because people gave him credit for getting us out of the Depression, and he didn't. And that's why he gets credit for all that.
I think he should give credit for his speech that he gave, that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And I think that bucked up a nation that was coming out of a depression and in a depression.
The guy who ruined current monetary policy, Alexander Hamilton. Overrated.
The dueler.
Yes,
that's what he's known for me, the dueler.
And now we have some newer ones, Chris. Nikki Haley, overrated.
Wow.
John McCain, overrated.
I agree.
Mitt Romney, definitely overrated.
I agree.
Che Guevara, the darling of the lunatic left, right? Overrated.
Yeah.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I think he's over. You know, you look at the broad overview of Schwarzenegger's career, everything that he's accomplished as an immigrant, coming over, becoming a movie star, winning the bodybuilding championships over and over,
They
becoming
say
a governor.
only as a politician. Overrated.
Yeah. So I think I'd have to take his thing in overall look at it.
As a person, awesome, right?
Yeah.
But politician.
Yeah.
Okay, underrated. Here's the underrated. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's one real interesting one on here. So, number 1, most underrated politician of all time, Quiet Cal. Calvin Coolidge. Underrated.
Calvin Coolidge is a little before my time, so I'm going to have to, and I haven't studied him, so I'm going to have to go with that one.
Very interesting pick here. John Paul II. Pope John Paul II. Underrated. I thought he got his due.
I think he's a saint now. How can you be underrated when you've been sainted? Is that a word, sainted?
Sainted, it is.
Okay.
Correct. You got it. Yeah, I would say he got his due, you know?
I don't get that one.
Of course, Donald Trump made the list.
Of course.
Yeah, and he's underrated for what he actually... This is interesting, Chris. Bill Clinton. Was he underrated? I think people gave him his proper due, and he had some scandals.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know if he was considered underrated. Maybe because he didn't achieve what he could have, and his presidency has that quote-unquote, no pun intended, stain on it because of Monica.
Did you just say that?
I did say that. Because of Monica Lewinsky. Maybe that cuts him down a notch.
Joey, were you listening?
That stain.
Okay, Joey's clipped that.
Yeah.
Mark Sanford. The disgraced former
that
governor
the Appalachian
congressman.
Trail?
Appalachian
Yeah,
Trail.
went off to see his girlfriend. And
When was he underrated? On the trail or off the trail?
Exactly.
Steve Forbes. I don't know that Steve Forbes is underrated. Is he?
Saw him today
like him.
on Fox. He was commenting on economic news.
I think he
wasn't much of a politician. The thing that was weird about Steve Forbes, if you ever noticed, the guy doesn't blink. He'll talk and his eyes are just, it's like, blink, dude, your eyes are going to start watering. Notice The next time you see him, notice that. He doesn't blink.
He's AI.
I guess.
And finally, Chris, they have a funny one at the end, so bear with me. This is a funny one. They put Jimmy Carter as underrated in parentheses, only on regulation, but there were lots of groans from the crowd. I think that's funny.
Yeah. Look, I lived through the Jimmy Carter era from 5th grade to 9th grade. It was an absolute disaster, and our country was humiliated by the mullahs in Iran.
Mm-hmm. You know, Chris, I've done a little looking into Calvin Coolidge because I've heard all these famous conservatives and Republicans growing up talking about Calvin Coolidge. And I'm like, I don't know about anything about. So apparently, Chris, Calvin Coolidge was like the true granddaddy of conservative republicanism.
Okay.
He felt that government governs best, that governs least. And he just said, you got to get out of the way and let the free market run things.
What years was Calvin Coolidge?
Man, he was back in the 20s, I think. Yeah. So some people blame him for the Depression, but others argue he had nothing to do with it whatsoever. So anyway, Silent Cal, they called him.
I wonder if he's got a museum somewhere.
I bet he does. We should go.
Exactly.
Maybe Joey.
Do the show there.
Maybe Joey. Oh, I have
Or the Truman.
How about this for a montage? Joey puts you and I in front of all of the presidential libraries around the country. Maybe that could be the next
There's
one.
only 13.
Okay, that doesn't sound too hard.
That's 2 weeks.
Or we could put us the next vehicle, maybe a presidential limo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
The
in
Beast.
Texas?
Put us in the Beast.
For sure. All right, we got to get to a break because we believe that the good Everett Jones will be joining us next, the owner of Jones Air and Water. We got lots to get to then and next. Keep it here, right here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Larry Connors USA at 6:05. All of that is...
Yeah.
Woohoo! We're getting busy.
Sorry about that.
All of that is next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
His presidency has that quote-unquote, no pun intended, stain on it because of Monica.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A chilly evening, coats needed, temperatures in the 30s, but temperature doesn't fall off that much. By tomorrow morning, it's 32. Definitely a cold start, but it's actually a little bit above normal in the beginning of a warming trend. Wednesday afternoon, we hit a high of 57. Southerly winds about 8 to 12 miles an hour, partly to mostly cloudy and dry. And then Thursday, still in the 50s, a high of 56 degrees, cloudy skies, slim chance for an evening shower, better chance for rain after midnight into Friday morning. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Temple.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what isn't.
Right here.
The country is heading in the wrong direction under this president. We're suffering shortages. America's running out of everything.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey everyone, this is Nick Schroer from Stand and Fight every Sunday 8 to 10 p.m. If you need tree removal, storm damage, repairs to trees, tree trimming, pruning, if your bushes are out of control, call River City Tree Service. Free quotes right now, 314-270-8071, 314-270-8071. Professional tree services performed by ISA certified arborists. Request your free quote at rivercitytreeservice.com.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary, but that's not the case when you go to Michaels Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michaels, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michaels has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michaels has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Hey, Columbo here with a great holiday offer from the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Just mention the Columbo special when you book a cleaning in the month of December, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $50 off your air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res because they are simply the best when it comes to cleaning any surface in your home. And just remember to mention the Columbo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online anytime at ZeroResSTL.com.
What happens next?
The White House is trying to block more information.
Happens right here.
We don't know what decisions may have been made under the color of the United States government that affected his family's finances.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
You know, Tim and I are so glad to have Royal Banks of Missouri sponsoring our show. We especially love that they sponsor the Monday Gym Talent segment every Monday at 4:25. Royal Banks of Missouri has been around since 1964. They are a community bank. They're not one of these big out-of-town banks that doesn't know your name. You go to Royal Banks of Missouri, their friendly staff will know your name. They have 17 locations. They even have locations across the river in Granite City and in Jerseyville. Also up north in Hannibal, Missouri, and New London, Missouri, which is very close to the Iowa border. Whether you need wealth management, business or personal loans, or home mortgages, Royal Banks Missouri has you covered. Check out Royal Banks online at royalbanksmo.com, royalbanksmo.com. Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank that is in your community.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
He's making a list, he's checking it twice. He's gonna find out who's naughty and nice. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. You better be good for goodness sake.
And it's just impossible to imagine myself ever getting involved in something like that. And not because I'm afraid, because I'm not afraid at all. I don't really care what happens to me, and I mean that. I mean that. But because how would I be good at that? Do you know what I mean? I don't think I would. And I think, I just can't imagine myself at a fundraiser or something and somebody like, well, actually, Zelensky's a lot like Churchill. And I just couldn't sit through that. I don't care how much money you're giving me. Zelensky is not like Churchill. Okay?
And welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. There's like the happiest man on earth, I think, Tucker Carlson, Chris.
I'd be happy, too, if I was making $20 million a year, having to absolutely do nothing because Fox owes me that on my contract.
Yep.
That's good living right there.
Yep. He was very honest, though. The question was, would he like to be Donald Trump's vice president? He said, I just don't think I'd be any good at that. I guess he was honest. He said, I don't care. I just don't care about it. I'm not going to play the political game. So
maybe Kamala's not setting a very good example on how to do it.
Maybe that's the problem.
That's what it is.
Maybe that's the problem. Let's get our next guest in here, see what he thinks about all that and more. We've got Everett Jones of Jones Air and Water in with us in the studio right now. Everett, how you doing this afternoon? Great to have you. What do you think about our new digs?
This is awesome, man. It's like it's cozier than your last place. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. A little less sterile.
Yeah. It's kind of it's new. It's modern.
Yeah, we like it. It's very comfortable for us. So
I can see it. I've watched you on the tube a few times.
Oh, cool.
It looks
cool.
It looks like you're having fun in here.
We do.
We are. We're having a good time in here. So do you care who's running for president? Does that make any difference to you at all? Or is it just like, the country's kind of going to go to a hell in a handbasket no matter which party's in charge?
Well, it's been that way for quite a few years or decades, whichever way you want to think about it. But I don't know that the people really have a choice in the matter. They just kind of go along with the flow of who is selected gets elected.
That seems like it.
It's not a true vote on who you want to represent you.
Seems like we all kind of get dragged along in the stream.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. We get to choose from the worst.
That's for sure. Everett, last time we had you in here, we were talking about radon and the importance of making sure that at this time of year, especially when we're battening down the hatches and closing everything up in our homes, that we know whether or not our homes have radon in them or not. And the only way to know that is to get a test kit, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
We've had several people take us up on our offer of testing for radon. Some people had a radon system and didn't know what it was supposed to do or how it worked. So some of our service calls have been simply informing people on what it does and how it's supposed to work and what you have to watch to make sure it is working. But there is, it's something that's out there all over the place, and out there, like I said before to you, it's out there in Eureka all over the place. The rocks, it just comes right up through the rocks, and it's funny that you bring this up because the winter time is the best time to do a test for radon, is particularly when it snows. The snow keeps the radon from coming out of the ground, and it wants to find a path, and it comes up out of your concrete in your basement where it's warmer.
Huh. That's fascinating.
So if it snows, that's a good time to call us.
Everett,
come place that thing.
When me and my wife moved into our home in U City required that we get a radon check. It was determined that the house had high levels. We had one put in, of course. Are you seeing that around other municipalities or cities that are requiring in order to move in that you have to have a radon check? Is that common?
I would say since I've learned about it and run across the people selling homes or buying homes, yes, that's something that a lot of municipalities are requiring folks to get or have in order to make the sale of a home. So the answer to that question is yes. A lot of my customers are new homeowners. So obviously that is a product that a lot of the builders are just putting in to not have the problem of doing a test for that particular sale. It's already in. They don't have to test for it. It's there. But again, people don't realize that you have to test for this stuff on a regular basis. Just because you have a mitigation system in doesn't mean it's working all the time. So knowing how it works and why it works and what you need to look at to make sure it is working is a critical thing.
Tim, can I just follow up for
Yeah,
a second?
please.
So when did people discover that radon is seeping into your houses and the remediation needs to be done with this? Because I had never heard of this until probably about the 90s. How did it get discovered, in effect, that this can be dangerous for people in their homes?
I guess when somebody did a survey on who was coming up with cancers and how they and why they had them and what was the indicators and finding in their homes that this was something that a non-smoker, for instance, somebody that didn't smoke, you wonder how did they get lung cancer? And it come about in a study somewhere. I don't know the answer to the question, but the study came about that we tested these many people. This many people had lung cancer. They didn't smoke. What we attributed it to was testing their home and found out radon was in it.
So it just seemed like it just came out of just nowhere. Radon, that's the new fear now that we have to be concerned about.
Well, it's kind of like fluoride.
Yeah,
it's been there. Most people are it's coming to the top of the bubble, and people are being more aware of it. It's kind of like the total dissolved solids in your water. People never heard that term before.
Yeah,
and until you had bottled water, the total dissolved solids of the water in your home 20 years ago, 1,500 TDS, for example, was acceptable water by EPA standards. About 15 years ago, it changed to 200 to 500 is considered questionable quality water. So the majority of municipalities in the United States can't conform to that standard alone for TDS of the water. For out there where you're at,
Yes.
in Eureka, it's up in the some parts of the city 600, some parts of the city 900.
Good grief.
Some here where we're at here, it's around 300 to 400. So just depending on where you're at is going to and what the water source is going to determine the quality of water that you have.
So I have a water question for you, but I want to wrap up the radon thing. So the biggest problem that Chris and I were talking about with radon, it's colorless and odorless, right? And so that's the danger of just saying, well, our house is fine. It probably doesn't have radon. You need to get tested if you haven't been tested or if it's been a long time since you've been tested, right?
Exactly. With radon, the powers that be, so to speak, recommend if you have radon and you have a mitigation system, they recommend you test for it every other year. If you have a home that doesn't have radon today, doesn't mean it may not be there later, and they suggest you have every year. I suggest that to my people who live on wells. If you live on a well and you're using your water and you've been living there for 15 years and you moved into it and it came up as a test that was negative for bacteria in the water, that doesn't mean the rest of those 15 years there wasn't something in there that could have caused a problem. Now, you living with it and having it daily, you may have acclimated to it and not have a problem to it. But somebody who comes to visit you and takes a drink of that water, they may get sick later going down the road. So testing is one aspect of how you solve problems. Remediation of all of those things is how you treat it on an ongoing basis forward. So if you go to the tap in here where we put your drinking system, you're guaranteed that 99% of the stuff that's in the water is going to be removed from it, and you're going to have high-quality drinking water.
I'm telling you, we're going to be calling you because we got the remediation system in 2011.
Oh, boy.
We've never – it was like we were like, okay, we got the thing in. We don't ever need to check, and we've never had it checked since then. It's been in 12 years.
No one's ever – did they show you how to work it?
They showed us where it's at.
Okay.
Did
you know there's a fan involved in electricity?
We hear it.
Okay.
We hear the buzzing thing, and I'm wondering where's that coming from. So I know it's from that. But yeah, no one ever told us that you had to get the thing checked yearly. It's like you got it now, it's in. That was our impression.
So it's up to you. If it's to be, it's up to me, so to speak. So just because you have it doesn't mean it's working.
Joneswater.com, joneswater.com. We're both going to be having that checked out in the new year. So, Everett, you mentioned water, and I want to ask you about this because I think a lot of people have this misnomer as well. And is that you or me? Or
I think that's Everett.
That's Everett. Everett's making.
I was like, wait a minute, is that me?
Chris and I are looking at each other like, all right, who did it now?
I
who did it
actually
now?
put Everett's phone number on the live stream, so someone's definitely calling him. That's what I think would happen.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Someone's like, oh, crap, I've got radon in my house.
Let me call him now.
That was quick. Let me tell you, this stuff works fast.
Look at us go, Everett.
Yeah,
Call him after the segment, folks.
Exactly.
Give us a minute, okay?
He's going to call him again.
Give us a minute.
Again.
Yep, there we go. 636-899-1040. So, Everett, I think a lot of people also have a misunderstanding about water, right? So in Eureka, we'll use my hometown as an example. We've had problematic water for a long time, and so we passed an initiative a couple years ago to transition from the well water we've had since the 1940s or 50s in Eureka to Missouri American water. So, Everett, I think a lot of people are in the misconception, okay, once we get the Missouri American water in, well, everything's going to be fine, hunky-dory, we don't need to worry about it at all. That you need to still have your water tested and find out, you still don't have the best water that you can have, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what happens there?
Well, you're going to, in Eureka in particular, you're going to have most of you customers out there have water softeners in particular.
Yes.
That's one of the biggest problems. So you're going to convert your water softener from cycling so many days a week to cycling less.
Okay.
So it's going to cost you less to operate your softener, which is still going to be removing mineral from the water because Missouri American water comes out of the river, Missouri and Mississippi rivers, in some cases Illinois, depending on where you're at. That water is naturally hard, and then they use lime, a slurry of lime mineral to coagulate what's in the water and drop out large particles. So the water is going to be much cleaner looking, and it won't have as high a mineral content as the well water you have, but it's going to be about half of what you have currently. So currently in Eureka, you have around 20 grains of hardness in the water.
Okay.
City water here, where we're at in Maryland Heights or wherever Missouri American water is around 10 grains hard.
Okay.
So on a standard, EPA standard, I use all EPA standards, WQA standards, anything over 10 is considered extremely hard water.
Okay.
Anything less than 3 is considered soft water.
Okay.
So that's in grains per gallon. If you want to figure it out in parts per million, 1 grain is equal to 17.1 parts. So if you get like your file you get in the summertime in June, it tells you what's in your water.
Uh-huh.
It'll have a part per million number of dissolved solids. It'll have a part per million number for your hardness, some things like that. So there's two standards. There's two ways to measure hardness. It's parts per million or grains per gallon.
Okay.
So I use grains per gallon because it's easier for people to understand a 1 through 10 number instead of a 17 to 170 number.
Excellent. And we have the Hydrotech HDO system you put in for us, and we love it. So it makes a big difference.
It's a very good system. We put a lot of those in, and it solves more than one hard water
Yes,
problem.
it does.
It takes that chlorine and bad taste and chemicals out of your whole house, so you're not showering in that stuff.
Major difference.
Everett, Monday is Christmas, and probably the best gift that you could probably give a family is good health. I hear you have some specials in the works.
I'm thinking I'll give just the STL Talk Radio people.
Uh-oh, the first caller.
The first caller to come in. Here we go.
After the segment.
Well, we're gonna bundle the air and water together. So if you want to have great air in your home and great water in your home, we're gonna put an air system in and a water system in for half the price.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's fantastic.
That's a deal.
You get air taking care of all the chemicals that are floating in your air, and you get a water system that's taking care of all the chemicals and dissolved minerals in your water.
And how important is it to have a whole home humidifier in the wintertime?
This time of the year, it's really bad because if you're walking around and you have carpet and you go have a pet and you grab him by the nose, he's not going to like you anymore because of all that static in the air. It comes out of the air. Ideal humidity this time of the year is somewhere around 35 to 40%. If you can, most people can operate in that range. If you got anything less than 35, you got 25% humidity. You're living in desert air. So it's different times of the year. Your humidity needs to be you want to range between 30 and or 35 and 42% in the wintertime, and in the summertime you want to have it up down around 45 to 50%.
Okay.
So your air conditioner is taking out the humidity in the summertime, and the humidifier is putting it in during the heat cycle of the wintertime.
Gotcha. Excellent. Indeed. All right. Well, Everett, you can take care of everybody's air and water and radon needs. So we want folks to call you as soon as you get off the air here.
Off the air first.
Trying to call you while you're on the air. 636-899-1040, 636-899-1040, 24/7, joneswater.com, joneswater.com. Everett, thank you so much for everything this year. We're so glad you're part of the News Talk STL family. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you all.
The wonderful Joneses in your home.
Yes, and same in yours, and the Arpses.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't forget the Vosoviches.
And the Vosoviches.
Oh, you don't have to try.
that guy
It's
over
all right.
there running
Hey,
everything.
thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Everett, we'll talk to you in 2024.
All right, sounds cool.
All right, very
good. You guys
good.
have a good new year, too.
You too as well. Chris and I will be back to wrap things up before we hand you off to Larry Connors USA. He's up at 6:05. We're back with one more jam-packed segment on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 1019, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
He knows if you've been better good, you better be good for goodness sake. You better watch out.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A chilly evening, coats needed, temperatures in the 30s, but temperature doesn't fall off that much. By tomorrow morning, it's 32. Definitely a cold start, but it's actually a little bit above normal in the beginning of a warming trend. Wednesday afternoon, we hit a high of 57. Southerly winds about 8 to 12 miles an hour, partly to mostly cloudy and dry. And then Thursday, still in the 50s, a high of 56 degrees, cloudy skies, slim chance for an evening shower, better chance for rain after midnight into Friday morning. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Car and Driver magazine says the 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser is cool and affordable. 2024 Toyotas are showing up every day, ready for immediate delivery at Ackerman. In fact, Toyota has awarded Ackerman more vehicles than all competitors. Check it out yourself at Ackerman Toyota, Hampton and Interstate 44, or online, AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota will get you the best deal. Ackerman Toyota, for life.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Have we reached a victory or at least a ceasefire in the cultural so-called war on Christmas after all these years? Let's assess that on Wednesday's program.
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL.
So one final note about Jones Air and Water. We just had Everett Jones on with us. Folks, as you could tell, Everett Jones, Jones Air and Water, your one-stop shop for all of your air and water needs in your home or business. And you heard about the importance of testing this time of year, testing for radon, testing your water quality, testing your air quality. And how about that special that Everett Jones just announced exclusively for all you News Talk STL Nation listeners, an air and water combo special. He's going to package together, he's going to bundle together the best air treatment products, the best water treatment products for half price. Yep, you want to give Everett a call today. He's off air now, so you can give him a holler. 636-899-1040, 636-899-1040, 24/7 joneswater.com. Everything for the air and water in your home to make it better and safer and just, better living, especially in these winter months. Winter is hard on us enough as it is. How about take care of all the air and water needs in your home so you can live better through these Midwest winter months? Once again, 636-899-1040. That's joneswater.com, joneswater.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Out of all the reindeers, you know you're the mastermind. Run, run, Rudolph. Randolph ain't too far behind.
Follow Tim Jones on Twitter at Speaker Tim Jones.
Santa's gotta make it to town. Santa, make him hurry, tell him he can take the freeway down.
Why does the president think it's appropriate that taxpayer dollars should be used to fly him around when he's been indicted and justified a congressional subpoena?
So I would refer you to Hunter's personal representatives as it relates to any questions about the legal affairs. But as you know, as it relates to the past couple of days, as I just stated to your colleague, is that, the president and their family were obviously, it was a somber anniversary that they were recognizing. So you could imagine what that is like for them. And I'll say lastly, and I've said this many times before, the president and the first lady loved their son very, very much.
549 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show. Somebody should have been an enterprising entrepreneur, should have came up with the KJP dial. All you do is wind her up, and it's the same answer over and over.
Mm-hmm.
The president and the first lady love her son. Joe Biden has no connections, business connections with his son. Just wind her up, and there you go. Same line over and over and over. What does they love her son? I mean, I'm getting
sure
nauseated hearing that over and over and over, that the president loves his son. What does that have to do with his problems?
And the little dolly can start with, let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. I want to be clear about this. Let's make sure we're clear.
Maybe have a little binder, too, that she looks through.
A little binder she flips through. Chris, she's the opposite of clear, right? She's one of the most non-transparent, opaque press secretaries we've ever seen because, Chris, she never tells us anything. She never tells us anything about anything. It's just this psychobabble about Joe Biden. Yeah, that's a given. We know that Joe Biden doesn't hate his son, okay? We got it. Now, what do we think about the facts that are being presented? Yeah. That's the question. What do we think about all of these facts and these allegations? This is not a right-wing conspiracy theory. This is not being perpetrated by MAGA extremists. They're talking about this in the Washington Post, of all places.
Tim, I want to get your thoughts on the big news today down in Texas. Texas Governor Abbott yesterday signed a new bill into law that gives Texas authorities to arrest illegal immigrants. Of course, the lefties and the Democrats are all saying that this oversteps his authority, that border enforcement is the responsibility of the federal government, not the state government. What's your thoughts on this overall? Do you think this will pass constitutional muster?
So the Latin phrase, Chris, that jumped into my mind, and I have no idea why, but I think it might apply to this, or I could be completely making that up, but I thought immediately of the Latin phrase posse comitatus. Posse comitatus. And I looked it up really fast. It bars federal, so I wonder if the reverse is true. The Posse Comitatus Act bars federal troops from participating in civilian law enforcement except when authorized by law. Chris, my question is, is the reverse true?
Mm.
Can local law enforcement participate in federal law enforcement acts? Maybe they can if the argument is the federal government has abdicated its responsibility, right? So the border is supposed to be the responsibility of the federal government. If they shirk that or abdicate and say we're not going to do it, can the states, which make up the federal government, can the states go, we're going to take that role back under the 10th Amendment and we're going to do it? I don't know. Interesting legal question.
Can the states say that even though these people, the federal government should be enforcing the border and that's their responsibility, these people are breaking our state laws? And
Yes.
because of that, we can arrest them and detain them, and we're not going to let them go. But if the federal government doesn't want to deport them, we will.
Yes. And,
I mean, that just sounds reasonable to me, and that's what Abbott's talking about.
So I'll channel Donald Trump here. They're all a bunch of thugs and murderers and rapists. No, of course not. Of course we don't say that every single person is a criminal that's come across the southern border. However, Chris, we do have to acknowledge reality, and the reality is with this massive immigrant invasion, it's what it is, it's an invasion, crime has escalated in places that heretofore have not had those crime rates. You take these little towns that have like 1,000 people or so in, and then you inject tens of thousands of illegal immigrants who may or may not know the language, may or may not know the customs, may or may not know where the bathrooms are, and things are going to happen, and some of those things are going to be illegal. So you have to argue that there is a causal effect there. Yeah, it doesn't take much to then say, well, maybe I can't arrest them for crossing the border, but I can arrest them for stealing or assault or thievery. And on top of it, they committed a federal crime. So we're going to hand them over to the feds, I guess. I don't know. The whole thing, it's put everybody in a position that they shouldn't be in. And it's because Joe Biden and his administration will not do their job.
And it just seems like an upside down world when a state is being overrun by illegal migrants. They're trying to do something about it to protect their citizens. And their own government, the federal government, is taking them to court, suing them to get rid of these common sense. I mean, just a couple of months ago, Texas put up this this barrier in the river. It was like 1,500 feet long. It was some type of buoys that kept people from crossing the river. That was deemed unconstitutional, not unconstitutional. That was deemed illegal. And Tim, the biggest concern is that they claim that some of these people drowned trying to cross over with this buoys. I mean, I don't want to sound hard-hearted or anything, but I mean, that's on you, ain't it?
Yeah, Chris, what did our moms tell us when we'd say, hey, Mom, when I touch the stove, it burns my hand? Yeah. Can't you hear your mom right now saying, well, then don't touch the stove.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
If you're going to drown because of the buoys in the river, maybe don't put yourself in the river with the buoys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then, Tim, and I hate to take a shot at your profession, the legal profession.
You go right ahead. We're used to it.
But you know what's going to happen is one of these families of a person that drowned trying to cross the river is going to find some attorney on the northern border and is going to sue the government, and they're going to get some not $1 billion, but they're going to get some huge settlement because they were killed while breaking the law.
Chris, if lawyers can figure out how to sue because hot coffee's too hot and sugar Chris is too sweet, they can definitely sue for calamity at the southern border.
Would a Mexican national, their family, would they have a suit in U.S. courts if this was found this was found illegal and their loved one died because they claim negligence, Tim?
Good argument. I don't know that they would have standing. I don't know that they would have standing as a non-citizen. I don't know that they can seek a redress for their grievances. You know that the left would like them to be able to because they want to give them every other right? They want them to have the right to vote. They want them to have the right to, well, I guess not pay taxes. But that's a great legal question, and I'm sure that they would argue that they have a right to sue and they would have standing. But I would argue that they don't even get past go.
Yeah. You know, Tim, as we enter into the Christmas season, a season that is supposed to be about peace and joy, we have the situation that's happening in Israel with Hamas and with Israel. We see that the Houthis are trying to expand this war in the Middle East. They're firing on ships. And I said this on Colombo and Katie this afternoon, that not only are the terrorists engaging in a terrorism war, But with these attacks on these ships, Tim, they're also trying to make it an economic war as well, because some of these ships now are going to have to go around Africa and take the long way around, which of course is going to add costs. So they're trying to engage in a terrorism war, but also an economic war at the same time, it seems.
How interesting that we were worried about Hezbollah at the beginning of this conflict. We weren't even talking about the Houthis. I think many of us forgot they existed, and now we see how complicated this region is. Paul, or Chris, we have some late-breaking news from listener Paul, and I saw it above your head as well on the ticker. The Colorado State Supreme Court has just ruled that Donald Trump cannot be on their state ballot in 2024. Paul says, well, their states follow. Here's what's going to happen, Paul. That case is going to get expedited to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Quickly.
The U.S. Supreme Court is going to say, knock it off. You're a bunch of numb. Don't you cuss here on this radio show.
I almost
did.
Yeah.
You're a bunch of numbskulls, and they're going to say you cannot do that. This is just a partisan effort. I believe it's going to fail.
What a show. We take you out with breaking news. Hey, Larry Connors, USA is next. He's going to ask, how does Israel explain killing 3 hostages held by Hamas, and state-controlled media uses just enough of Trump's words to sell a lie? Keep listening to the News Talk STL 1019 94.1. Drive safe.
Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company, Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hi, it's Mark McCloskey from MyPillows. MyPillow is excited to bring you their biggest bedding sale ever just in time for Christmas. Get the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98. A set of pillowcases for only $9.98. Rejuvenate your bed with a MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99. They also have blankets in a variety of sizes, colors, and styles. They even have blankets for your pets. Get quilts, down comforters, body pillows, bolster pillows, and so much more, all with the biggest discounts ever. They're also extending their money-back guarantee for Christmas until March 1st, 2024, making them the perfect gift for your friends, your family, and everyone you know. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code ONFIRE or call 800-645-1392, and you'll get huge discounts on all MyPillow bedding products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98. And get all your shopping done now while the quantities last.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The Colorado Supreme Court is removing former President Donald Trump from the state's primary ballot, saying he is ineligible to be president after his alleged role in the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. The ruling Tuesday marks the first time in history that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment has been used to disqualify a presidential candidate. It is likely to be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. The provision forbids those who engaged in insurrection from holding office and was used mainly after the Civil War to keep former Confederates out of government. The U.S. and a host of other nations are creating a new force to protect ships transiting the Red Sea that have come under attack by drones and ballistic missiles fired from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby says the new force being put together by the U.S. and other nations to protect ships will give the Red Sea a different look.
There's going to be a whole lot of hardware in the Red Sea now, naval hardware, not just from the United States, but other ships